Commissioner Bocanegra, it's so good to see you again. As the CEO of Alliance for Automotive Innovation, I work every day with auto manufacturers, suppliers, tech companies, all devoted and dedicated to electrifying the vehicle fleet. You wear two hats, and maybe you could spend a minute describing both of those.
First of all, it's good to see you again. As you said, we've had a chance to collaborate and work together, exploring some of these topics. But like John said, my name is Maria Bocanegra. I'm a commissioner with the Illinois Commerce Commission. The Commerce Commission is essentially a public service commission, or often also known as a public utility commission. And what my primary role, first and foremost, is regulating our largest investor-owned utilities, which of course includes our electric utilities, who are vital to the conversation we're having today. But as you mentioned, the other hat I wear is I currently serve as the national chair for the EV working group within NARUC. Now, NARUC is, think of it as the umbrella organization for all of the other commissions in all 50 states and several of our provinces and other jurisdictions. And so together, I lead about 35 plus states in showing commission staff and commissioners education and awareness around the electrification of our transportation sector, and more importantly, the transformation of that electric grid.
I always like to start these conversations with the idea that this is real. We are moving toward an electrified vehicle fleet. And when you think about it, $330 billion of industry investment by 2025 across the industry, vehicle manufacturers, battery producers, suppliers, technology companies, all moving in this direction. Today, there are 68 models in the marketplace that are electrified models, zero emission vehicles, battery electrics, plug-in hybrids, hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. By mid-decade, that number will be 130. How do you feel about where we are in this state of collaboration, and where are the opportunities to really work together to accelerate electrification in the vehicle fleet?
When I think of the evolution of this collaboration, it's two things for me. It's alignment and it's allocation. So alignment of policy goals and objectives. And I think that can be done in a way that not only is mindful of states' rights or state policy objectives, but also adheres to some of the overarching principles of things like the EV charging initiative, as well as some of the requirements in the new Infrastructure Act. And then I think about allocation. Obviously, as a regulator, first and foremost, we are always concerned about ensuring that utility investments are least cost and of course, affordable and now equitable to a lot of our ratepayers.
Alignment is critical, right? I mean, we do need to have a plan. Right. And make sure that, as you say, that as we develop infrastructure and we create more opportunities to get great cars and trucks that are electrified, not only into some communities, but into all communities. That's critical. So alignment helps. And to your notion about equity, I do think it's really important that we think about this in a way that lifts communities up who may not have enjoyed the benefits of new vehicle technologies in the past, and that we create opportunities for a more diverse workforce and more opportunities for workforce development. Companies that I work with every day in the automotive sector have supplier diversity programs, for example, and workforce development initiatives that I think can be effectively applied, as you point out, to ensure that we are focused on equity and diversity, as well as access more broadly, to these technologies.
I think that there is a lot of opportunity. First and foremost, it involves, I think, considering what goes into that equation, so to speak, when we talk about alignment, and especially in the context of equity. I'm glad you brought that up. Equity isn't just, a definition of, let's say, achieving a certain percentage of direct or indirect benefits to disadvantaged communities. But again, it also includes making sure that everybody is at the table when we talk about the EV charging initiative. I think another opportunity that I'm seeing is the evolution of really having our OEMs or organizations like Auto Innovators at the table at these commission proceedings. And so I'm curious to hear kind of what your thought is on that sort of evolving role for you guys.
That's such a great question, and I think it's really important, and that's really one of the great things about the EV charging initiative, isn't it? It's an opportunity for the auto industry and the utility sector to get together, not only to compare notes, but through commission proceedings to make sure that we're working effectively together. So we're committed to doing that.
As OEMs and EV charging station providers, participate in these commission proceedings, the transportation electrification plans that are typically filed by our utilities, every 3 or so years, are also evolving. It's more inclusive of these considerations and things like standardization and interoperability. And so it's good to have you guys at the table. I think another cost consideration is, utilities and regulators are always concerned about ensuring that investments are used and useful. And, I think one other opportunity when we think about OEMs coming to the table, John, is no one is in a better position than OEMs to understand what is used and useful for their customer base and their consumer base. And so I think really having that opportunity to align both of those definitions, both from the regulator's perspective, the utility perspective, and the OEM perspective will go a long way in ensuring that ratepayer dollars are invested in a way that is, again, used and useful, but prudent and it makes economic sense for everyone.
Yeah, we welcome that opportunity, and it really is, I think, an important opportunity to make sure that customers across the board, utility customers as well as mobility customers, have that opportunity to have an experience that's aligned with their expectations and that works for everybody.